What is up, everybody? JT Dangerously here once again. I am here to do my Week 13 college football predictions, Rivalry Week. Now, with Week 12 in the books, we are now into Week 13 of the college football season, and this week in college football has always been known as Rivalry Week. So I am extremely excited to do my Week 13 college football predictions for you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Now, a record in Week 12 was fantastic. We went 28-12, so we're coming in extremely hot, and I'm looking to keep it that way. So hopefully in this video, we will continue the winning ways. We're on a 12-week winning streak. Hopefully in this video, we make it 13 in a row. Hopefully. Now, before I begin, I do want to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving from the Dangerous Alliance here, and hopefully you guys will be spending Thanksgiving with your friends, family, and loved ones, giving thanks and celebrating Turkey Day the Dangerously way. Now, this is the first video of a combined 2-video day on the channel today, guys, so hopefully you guys will be able to watch this video and all the fantastic videos we put up on the channel in the month of November this year. And as always, show your support the channel as always, guys, by watching these videos, super kicking those like buttons, hitting that notification bell, and commenting your picks, your opinions, and representing your college football teams in the comment sections down below. Now, if this is your first time watching my channel today, guys, as a first-time viewer, and this is your first video, boy, pick the goo. And if you're a huge fan of college football like myself, and you're ready for Week 13 of the college football season known as Rivalry Week, welcome to the Dangerous Alliance. I'm JT Dangerously. Welcome to the club, because this club is just two. Whoop, whoop. Again, thank you guys so very much. Now, other than that, let's get right into my Week 13 college football predictions, Rivalry Week. Let's start off with the game that happens on Turkey Day Thursday. It is an SEC West rivalry showdown, and it is known as the Egg Bowl, between the Mississippi State Bulldogs heading to the Grove in Oxford, Mississippi to face the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, this is the 119th meeting between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss leads the old-time series 64-45-6. Now, the Rebels have won the last 2 meetings over the Bulldogs back in 2020 and last year, and the Bulldogs are looking to finally defeat the Rebels for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 12, Mississippi State's coming out their victory over East Tennessee State on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Ole Miss is coming out their loss to Arkansas on Saturday, coming in at 8-3. So, coming from me in this SEC West rivalry showdown on Turkey Day Thursday for possession of the Golden Egg Trophy, I am going to go with Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Mississippi State Bulldogs in a close shootout. And now the next matchups, which will happen on Black Friday. And when it comes to college football on Black Friday, it always means unpredictability. Starting off with an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown where the winner could be heading to the American Athletic Conference Championship next week between the Green Wave of Tulane heading to Cincinnati to face the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, this is the 19th meeting between Tulane and Cincinnati. Tulane leads the old-time series 11-7. Now, the Bearcats have won the last 4 meetings over the Green Wave, dating all the way back to 2014, and the Green Wave are looking to defeat the Bearcats for the first time since 2012. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the American Athletic Conference. Both teams are coming in at 9-2, and both teams are looking to punch their ticket to the American Athletic Conference Championship next week. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown on Black Friday to see who will be heading to the American Athletic Conference Championship this year, this one's tough, but coming from me, I am going to go with the Cincinnati Bearcats to get it done at home and advance to the American Athletic Conference Championship next week and defeat the Green Wave of Tulane. And now the next matchup on Black Friday is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Baylor Bears heading to Austin, Texas to face the Texas Longhorns. Now, this is the 112th meeting between Baylor and Texas. Texas leads the old-time series 79-28-4. Now, the Bears won last year's meeting over the Longhorns, and the Longhorns are looking to defeat the Bears for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Big 12 Conference. Baylor's coming off their heartbreaking loss to undefeated TCU on Saturday, coming in at 6-5, and Texas is coming off their victory over Kansas on Saturday, coming in at 7-4. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown on Black Friday, I am going to go with Steve Sarkisian, Quinn Ellers, Bijan Robinson, and the Texas Longhorns to get it done at home and defeat the Baylor Bears in a shootout. Hook 'em. And our next matchup on Black Friday. It is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the Territorial Cup between the Arizona State Sun Devils heading to Tucson, Arizona to face the Arizona Wildcats. Now, this is the 96th meeting between Arizona State and Arizona. Arizona leads the old-time series 49-45-1. Now, the Sun Devils have won the last 5 meetings over the Wildcats, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Wildcats are looking to finally defeat the Sun Devils for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the Pac-12 Conference. Arizona State's coming off their loss on Saturday night to Oregon State, coming in at a rough 3-8, and Arizona's coming off their loss to Washington State on Saturday, coming in at 4-7. So, coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown on Black Friday for possession of the Territorial Cup, I am going to go with the Arizona Wildcats to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Arizona State Sun Devils in a shootout. And our next matchup on Black Friday. It is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown, and this rivalry is known as the Heroes Game, and it's for possession of the Heroes Trophy between the Nebraska Cornhuskers heading to Iowa City, Iowa to face the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, this is the 53rd meeting between Nebraska and Iowa. Nebraska leads the old-time series 29-20-3. Now, the Hawkeyes have won the last 7 meetings over the Cornhuskers, dating all the way back to 2015, and the Cornhuskers are looking to finally defeat the Hawkeyes for the first time since 2014. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Big Ten Conference. Nebraska's coming off the loss to Wisconsin on Saturday, coming in at a rough 3-8, and Iowa's coming off their big victory over Minnesota on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and I think they're a victory away from punching their ticket to the Big Ten Championship game next weekend in Indianapolis. So, coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown on Black Friday for possession of the Heroes Trophy, I am going to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes to get it done at home and defeat the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And our next matchup on Black Friday. It is a Pac-12 rivalry showdown between the UCLA Bruins heading to Berkeley, California to face the Cal Golden Bears. Now, this is the 93rd meeting between UCLA and Cal. UCLA leads the old-time series 57-34-1. Now, the Bruins have won the last 2 meetings over the Golden Bears, dating back to 2020 and last year, and the Golden Bears are looking to defeat the Bruins for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Pac-12 Conference. UCLA is coming off their late-night loss on Saturday night, losing to USC, coming in at 8-3, and Cal is coming off their victory in the big game for the Stanford Axe over Stanford on Saturday, coming in at 4-7. So, coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown on Black Friday, I am going to go with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, Chip Kelly, and the UCLA Bruins to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Cal Golden Bears. And our next matchup on Black Friday. It is known as the Sunshine Showdown between the Florida Gators heading to Tallahassee, Florida to face the Florida State Seminoles. Now, this is the 66th meeting between Florida and Florida State. Florida leads the old-time series 37-26-2. Now, the Gators have won the last 3 meetings over the Seminoles, dating all the way back to 2018, and the Seminoles are looking to finally defeat the Gators for the first time since 2017. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12. Florida's coming off their surprising loss to Vanderbilt on Saturday, coming in at 6-5, and Florida State's coming out their victory over Louisiana on Saturday, coming in at 8-3. So, coming from me in this year's Sunshine Showdown between these 2 Florida squads, this one should be good. You got Anthony Richardson for Florida versus Jordan Travis for Florida State. This one's going to be good, but coming from me, I am going to go with Jordan Travis and the Florida State Seminoles to get it done at home and defeat the Florida Gators in a shootout. And our next matchup on Black Friday. It is a Mountain West Conference Mountain Rivalry showdown between the New Mexico Lobos heading to Fort Collins, Colorado to face the Colorado State Rams. Now, this is the 69th meeting between New Mexico and Colorado State. Colorado State leads the series 43-25. Now, the Rams have won the last 11 meetings over the Lobos, dating all the way back to 2010, and the Lobos are looking to finally defeat the Rams for the first time since 2009. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the Mountain West Conference. New Mexico's coming off the loss to San Diego State on Friday night, coming in at a rough 2-9, and Colorado State's coming off their loss to the Air Force Academy on Saturday, also coming in at 2-9. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown on Black Friday between these 2-9 squads, I am going to go with the Colorado State Rams to rebound and bounce back at home and make it 12 in a row over New Mexico and defeat the New Mexico Lobos. And now next matchup on Friday night. It is an ACC rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for North Carolina between the North Carolina State Wolfpack heading to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to face the ACC Coastal Division champions, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now this is the 112th meeting between NC State and North Carolina. North Carolina leads the old-time series 68-37-6. Now, the Wolfpack won last year's meeting over the Tar Heels, and the Tar Heels are looking to defeat the Wolfpack for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the ACC. North Carolina State's coming off their loss to Louisville on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and North Carolina's coming off their surprising loss to Georgia Tech on Saturday, coming in at 9-2. So, coming from me in this ACC rivalry showdown on Black Friday between these two North Carolina football squads, we do already know it's going to be Clemson versus North Carolina next week in the ACC Championship game, so I'm going to go with Mack Brown, Drake May, and the North Carolina Tar Heels to get a rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the North Carolina State Wolfpack. And now the next matchup on Black Friday. It is a MAC West rivalry showdown between the Central Michigan Chippewas heading to Michigan to face the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Now this is the 100th meeting between Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan. Central Michigan leads the old-time series 62-31-6. Now, the Chippewas have won the last 3 meetings over the Eagles, dating all the way back to 2019, and the Eagles are looking to finally defeat the Chippewas for the first time since 2018. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the MAC. Central Michigan's coming off their loss to Western Michigan on Wednesday night, coming in at 4-7, and Eastern Michigan's coming off their victory over Kent State on Wednesday, coming in at 7-4. So, coming from me in this MAC West rivalry showdown on Black Friday, I am going to go with the Eastern Michigan Eagles to get it done at home and defeat the Central Michigan Chippewas. And now the next matchup. It is a Mountain West Conference Mountain Rivalry showdown between the Utah State Aggies heading to the Smurf Turf to face the Mountain West Conference Mountain Divisional Champions, my Boise State Broncos. Now this is the 26th meeting between Utah State and Boise State. Boise State leads the old-time series, folks, 21-5. Now, my Broncos have won the last 6 meetings over the Aggies, dating all the way back to 2016, and the Aggies are looking to defeat my Broncos for the first time since 2015. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Mountain West Conference. Utah State's coming out their late-night Saturday night win over San Jose State, coming in at 6-5, and my Boise State Broncos are coming out their big victory over Wyoming on Saturday, clinching the Mountain West Conference Mountain Division title, coming in at 8-3. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference Mountain Rivalry showdown on Black Friday, we do already know that next week in the Mountain West Conference Championship game, it will be Fresno State versus my Boise State Broncos in the Smurf Turf. So I'm really hopeful to see my Broncos make it 2 in a row against the Fresno State Bulldogs. But coming from me, I'm going to go with Taylon Green, George Halani, and my Boise State Broncos to get it done at home en route to their Mountain West Conference Championship game next week and defeat the Utah State Aggies. And now the final matchup on Black Friday. It is a Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown between the Wyoming Cowboys heading to Fresno, California, my hometown, to face the Mountain West Conference West Division champions, the Fresno State Bulldogs. Now this is the 14th meeting between Wyoming and Fresno State. Fresno State leads the old-time series 8-5. Now, the Bulldogs have won the last 3 meetings over the Cowboys, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Cowboys are looking to defeat the Bulldogs for the first time since 2014. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Mountain West Conference. Wyoming's coming off their loss on Saturday to my Boise State Broncos, coming in at 7-4, and Fresno State's coming off their late-night win on Saturday night, defeating Nevada, coming in at 7-4, and they are the Mountain West Conference West Division champions. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown on Black Friday, I am going to go with Jet Tedford, Jake Hayner, and my city's Fresno State Bulldogs to get it done at home before their huge game next week against my Boise State Broncos in the Mountain West Conference Championship game and defeat the Wyoming Cowboys. Go Dogs! And now on to the massive Saturday slate, which happens on my 33rd birthday. Starting off with a huge Big Ten West rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for Paul Bunyan's axe between the Minnesota Golden Gophers heading to Madison, Wisconsin to face the Wisconsin Badgers. Now this is the 132nd meeting between Minnesota and Wisconsin. Wisconsin leads the old-time series 62-61-8. Now, the Golden Gophers won last year's meeting over the Badgers, and the Badgers are looking to defeat the Golden Gophers for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 12s in the Big Ten Conference. Minnesota's coming off their loss to Iowa on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Wisconsin's coming off their victory over Nebraska on Saturday, coming in at 6-5. So, coming from me in this huge Big Ten West rivalry showdown for possession of Paul Bunyan's axe, I am going to go with the Minnesota Golden Gophers to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Wisconsin Badgers. And now, next matchup. It is a Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown, and it's for possession of the Fremont Cannon between the Nevada Wolfpack heading to Legion Stadium in Las Vegas to face the UNLV Rebels. Now, this is the 48th meeting between Nevada and UNLV. Nevada leads the old-time series 29-18. Now, the Wolfpack have won the last 2 meetings over the Rebels back in 2020 and last year, and the Rebels are looking to finally defeat the Wolfpack for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the Mountain West Conference. Nevada's coming off their loss on Saturday night to Fresno State, coming in at a rough 2-9, and UNLV's coming off their late Saturday night loss to Hawaii, coming in at 4-7. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference West rivalry showdown for possession of the Fremont Cannon, I am going to go with the UNLV Rebels to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Nevada Wolfpack. And our next matchup, it is an ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown between the Syracuse Orangemen heading to Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts to face the Boston College Eagles. Now, this is the 56th meeting between Syracuse and Boston College. Syracuse leads the old-time series 33-22. Now, the Orangemen won last year's meeting over the Eagles, and the Eagles are looking to defeat the Orange for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the ACC. Syracuse is coming off the loss to Wake Forest on Saturday, coming in at 6-5, and Boston College is coming off their shutout loss to Notre Dame on Saturday, coming in at 3-8. So, coming from me in this ACC Atlantic rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Orangemen of Syracuse to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Boston College Eagles. And now, next matchup. It is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the West Virginia Mountaineers heading to Stillwater, Oklahoma to face our hated rivals, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, this is the 14th meeting between West Virginia and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State leads the old-time series 9-4. Now, the Cowboys have won the last 7 meetings over the Mountaineers, dating all the way back to 2015, and the Mountaineers are looking to finally defeat the Cowboys for the first time since 2014. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the Big 12 Conference. West Virginia is coming off the loss to Kansas State on Saturday, coming in at 4-7, and Oklahoma State's coming off the loss to my Oklahoma Sooners in Bedlam on Saturday, coming in at 7-4. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Spencer Sanders, Mike Gundy, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the West Virginia Mountaineers. And now, next matchup. It is another Big 12 rivalry showdown, and it is known as the Sunflower Showdown between the Kansas Jayhawks heading to Manhattan, Kansas to face the Kansas State Wildcats. Now, this is the 120th meeting between Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas leads the old-time series 65-49-5. Now, listen to this, folks. The Wildcats have won the last 13 meetings over the Jayhawks, dating all the way back to 2009, and the Jayhawks are looking to finally defeat the Wildcats for the first time since 2008. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Big 12 Conference. Kansas is coming off their loss to Texas on Saturday, coming in at 6-5, and Kansas State's coming off their big victory over West Virginia on Saturday, coming in at 8-3, and if Kansas State wins this game, I think they will be in the Big 12 championship game next week. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, then see who will win this Sunflower Showdown, I am going to go with Adrian Martinez, Deuce Vaughn, and the Kansas State Wildcats to get it done at home and punch their ticket to the Big 12 championship game next week and defeat the Kansas Jayhawks. And our next matchup between the BYU Cougars heading to Stanford, California to face the Stanford Cardinal. Now, this is only the 3rd meeting between BYU and Stanford. The Cardinal have won the last 2 meetings over the Cougars, dating all the way back to 2003 and 2004. So the Cardinal have owned this rivalry for 18 years. Now, both teams are coming off very different Week 12s. BYU's coming off their victory over Utah Tech on Saturday, coming in at 6-5. And Stanford's coming off their loss on Saturday to Cal, coming in at 3-8. So, coming from me in this matchup, I am going to go with the BYU Cougars to get it done on the road and defeat the Stanford Cardinal in a close shootout. And now next matchup. It is an ACC Coastal Rivalry Showdown, and it's the battle for the Commonwealth Cup. But this game may not happen between the Virginia Cavaliers heading to Blacksburg, Virginia to face the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now this is the 104th meeting between Virginia and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech leads the old-time series 60, 38, and 5. Now, the Hokies have won the last 2 meetings over the Cavaliers, dating back to 2020 and last year, and the Cavaliers are looking to finally defeat the Hokies for the first time since 2019. Now, I say this game may not happen because if you guys didn't know, there was a shooting in Virginia, and 3 Virginia Cavalier football players were killed. And Virginia canceled their game against Coastal Carolina this week, and right now this game is pretty much a big question mark because Virginia's got to be mourning the passing of 3 football players from that shooting. So we don't know if this game is going to happen, but Virginia Tech is coming off their victory over Liberty, coming in at 3-8. So coming from me in this ACC Coastal Rivalry Showdown for possession of the Commonwealth Cup that may or may not happen, I am going to go with the Virginia Cavaliers to get it done on the road if they have this game played and defeat the Virginia Tech Hokies. And now next matchup. It is an American Athletic Conference Rivalry Showdown, and this rivalry is known as the War on I-4 between the Central Florida Knights heading to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa to face the South Florida Bulls. Now this is the 14th meeting between Central Florida and South Florida. UCF leads the old-time series 7-6. Now, the Knights have won the last 5 meetings over the Bulls, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Bulls are looking to finally defeat the Knights for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the American Athletic Conference. UCF is coming off their surprising loss to Navy on Saturday, coming in at 8-3, and South Florida is coming off their loss on Friday night to Tulsa, coming in at a rough, and I mean a rough, 1-10. So, coming from me in this American Athletic Conference Rivalry Showdown and the War on I-4, UCF, I think we're on the cusp of making a trip to the American Athletic Conference Championship if they just beat Navy, but they just dropped the ball there. So coming from me, I am going to go with my good friend Scott Weeks in Sports and his Central Florida Knights to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the South Florida Bulls in a potential blowout. And now next matchup. It is a Big Ten East Rivalry Showdown, and it's the battle for the land-grant trophy between the Michigan State Spartans heading to Happy Valley to face the Penn State Nittany Lions. Now this is the 37th meeting between Michigan State and Penn State. Sparty leads the old-time series 18, 17, and 1. Now, Sparty won last year's meeting over the Nittany Lions, and the Nittany Lions are looking to defeat Sparty for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan State's coming off their loss in double overtime to the Indiana Hoosiers on Saturday, coming in at 5-6, and the Nittany Lions are coming off their big victory over Rutgers on Saturday, coming in at 9-2. So, coming from me in this Big Ten East Rivalry Showdown for possession of the land-grant trophy, this one should be good. You got Peyton Thorne for Michigan State versus Sean Clifford for Penn State. This one's going to be good, but coming from me, I'm going to go with Sean Clifford and the Penn State Nittany Lions to get it done at home and defeat the Michigan State Spartans. We are Penn State. And our next matchup, it is the battle for the Governor's Cup between the Louisville Cardinals heading to Lexington, Kentucky to face the Kentucky Wildcats. Now this is the 34th meeting between Louisville and Kentucky. Kentucky leads the old-time series 18-15. Now the Wildcats have won the last 3 meetings over the Cardinals dating back to 2018, 2019, and last year, and the Cardinals are looking to defeat the Wildcats for the first time since 2017. Now both teams are coming out very different Week 12s. Louisville's coming out their victory over NC State on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Kentucky's coming off the loss to #1 Georgia on Saturday, coming in at 6-5. So coming from me in this matchup between these 2 Kentucky squads for possession of the Governor's Cup, this one's going to be good. You got Malik Cunningham for Louisville versus Will Levitz for Kentucky. This one's going to be a good one, but coming from me, I am going to go with Malik Cunningham and the Louisville Cardinals to get it done on the road and defeat the Kentucky Wildcats in a shootout. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten East Rivalry Showdown between the Rutgers Scarlet Knights heading to College Park, Maryland to face the Maryland Terrapins. Now this is the 18th meeting between Rutgers and Maryland. Maryland leads the old-time series 10-7. Now the Terrapins won last year's meeting over the Scarlet Knights, and the Scarlet Knights are looking to defeat the Terps for the first time in 2 years. Now both teams are coming off very bad Week 12s in the Big Ten Conference. Rutgers is coming off their loss to Penn State on Saturday, coming in at 4-7, and Maryland's coming off their loss to undefeated Ohio State on Saturday, coming in at 6-5. So coming from me in this Big Ten East rivalry showdown, I am going to go with Tallulah Tagovailoa and the Maryland Terrapins to rebound and bounce back at home and defeat the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. And now next matchup. It is an American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown between the East Carolina Pirates heading to Philadelphia to face the Temple Owls. Now this is the 19th meeting between East Carolina and Temple. The series is tied 9-9. Now the Pirates have won the last 2 meetings over the Owls back in 2020 and last year, and the Owls are looking to defeat the Pirates for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming off very bad Week 12s in the American Athletic Conference. East Carolina is coming off the loss to Houston on Saturday, coming in at 6-5, and Temple's coming off their loss to Cincinnati on Saturday, coming in at a rough 3-8. So coming from me in this American Athletic Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the East Carolina Pirates to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Temple Owls. And now next matchup. It is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between the Iowa State Cyclones heading to Fort Worth, Texas to face the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs. Now this is the 14th meeting between Iowa State and TCU. TCU leads the old-time series 8-5. Now, the Cyclones have won the last 3 meetings over the Horned Frogs, dating all the way back to 2019, and the Horned Frogs are looking to finally defeat the Cyclones for the first time since 2018. Now, both teams are coming out very different Week 12s in the Big 12 Conference. Iowa State's coming off the loss to Texas Tech on Saturday, coming in at 4-7, and TCU's coming off barely escaping Baylor on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 11-0, and we already know TCU will be in the Big 12 championship game next week. So, coming from me in this huge Big 12 rivalry showdown, can Iowa State really shock the world? Because we've seen Iowa State beat some good teams, but if they can knock off TCU before their Big 12 championship game, it would be huge. And it would also knock TCU out of the college football playoff semifinals. But this TCU team is really a team that's been proving a lot of people wrong. They barely escaped Baylor on Saturday with a last-second field goal. But if TCU wants to continue this amazing season, they got to get it done here, and then they got to get it done next week to win the Big 12 championship, and they will have a spot in the college football playoff semifinals. But coming from me, I am going to go with Max Duggan and the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs to get it done at home and remain undefeated and defeat the Iowa State Cyclones. And now next matchup. It is a Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown between the Air Force Academy Falcons heading to San Diego, California to face the San Diego State Aztecs. Now this is the 38th meeting between the Air Force Academy and San Diego State. The Air Force Academy leads the old-time series 19-18. Now, the Aztecs have won the last 9 meetings over the Falcons, dating all the way back to 2010, and the Falcons are looking to finally defeat the Aztecs for the first time since 2009. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Mountain West Conference. Air Force is coming off their victory over Colorado State on Saturday, coming in at 8-3, and San Diego State's coming off their victory on Friday over New Mexico, coming in at 7-4. So, coming from me in this Mountain West Conference rivalry showdown, I am going to go with the Air Force Academy Falcons to get it done on the road and defeat the San Diego State Aztecs in a close offensive shootout. And now next matchup. It is a Big Ten rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the old Oaken Bucket between the Purdue Boilermakers heading to Bloomington, Indiana to face the Indiana Hoosiers. Now this is the 124th meeting between Purdue and Indiana. Purdue leads the old-time series 75-42-6. Now, the Boilermakers won last year's meeting over the Hoosiers, and the Hoosiers are looking to defeat the Boilermakers for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Big Ten Conference. Purdue's coming out their blowout victory over Northwestern on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and still in the hunt in the Big Ten West. And Indiana's coming off their come-from-behind victory in double overtime on Saturday, defeating Michigan State, coming in at 4-7. So, coming from me in this Big Ten rivalry showdown for possession of the old Oaken Bucket, I am going to go with Aiden O'Connell and the Purdue Boilermakers to get it done on the road and keep their Big Ten West hopes, their Big Ten West Division title hopes alive and defeat the Indiana Hoosiers. And now next matchup. It is an ACC Coastal rivalry showdown between the Pittsburgh Panthers heading to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami to face the Miami Hurricanes, a.k.a. the U. Now this is the 42nd meeting between Pittsburgh and Miami. The U leads the old-time series 29-11-1. Now, the U has won the last 4 meetings over the Panthers, dating all the way back to 2018, and the Panthers are looking to defeat the Hurricanes for the first time since 2017. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 12s in the ACC. Pittsburgh is coming off their victory over Duke on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Miami's coming off their blowout loss to Clemson on Saturday, coming in at 5-6 with a victory away from bowl eligibility. So, coming from me in this ACC Coastal Rivalry Showdown, I am going to go with the U to rebound and bounce back at home and become bowl eligible and defeat the Pittsburgh Panthers in a close shootout. And our next matchup, it is an ACC rivalry showdown between the Wake Forest Demon Deacons heading to Durham, North Carolina to face the Duke Blue Devils. Now, this is the 102nd meeting between Wake Forest and Duke. Duke leads the old-time series 58-41-2. Now, the Demon Deacons have won the last 3 meetings over the Blue Devils, dating all the way back to 2018, and the Blue Devils are looking to finally defeat the Demon Deeks for the first time since 2017. Now, both teams are coming out very different. Week 12s in the ACC, Wake Forest is coming off their victory over Syracuse on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Duke is coming out their heartbreaking loss to Pitt on Saturday, coming in also at 7-4. So, coming from me in this ACC rivalry showdown between these two 7-4 squads, I am going to go with Sam Hartman and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons to get it done on the road and defeat the Duke Blue Devils in a close one. And our next matchup, it is a huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown, and this rivalry is known as the Rumble in the Rockies between the Utah Utes heading to Boulder, Colorado to face the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, this is the 69th meeting between the Utah Utes and the Colorado Buffaloes. Utah leads the old-time series 33-32-3. Now, the Utes have won the last 5 meetings over the Buffaloes, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Buffs are looking to defeat the Utes for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very bad Week 12s in the Pac-12 Conference. Utah is coming off their loss on Saturday night to Oregon, costing themselves a spot in the Pac-12 championship game this year. They are coming in at 8-3, and Colorado is coming off another loss on Saturday, losing to the Washington Huskies, coming in at a rough, and I mean a rough, 1-10. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown to see who will win this year's Rumble in the Rockies, I am going to go with the Utah Utes to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the 1-win Colorado Buffaloes in a potential blowout. And our next matchup, it is a Big 12 rivalry showdown between my Oklahoma Sooners heading to Lubbock, Texas to face the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now, this is the 30th meeting between Oklahoma and Texas Tech. Oklahoma leads the old-time series, folks, 23-6. Now, my Sooners have won the last 10 meetings over the Red Raiders, dating all the way back to 2012, and the Red Raiders are looking to finally defeat my Sooners for the first time since 2011. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Big 12 Conference. My Sooners are coming out their big victory in Bedlam, defeating Oklahoma State on Saturday, coming in at 6-5 and bowl eligible. And the Texas Tech Red Raiders are coming out their victory over Iowa State on Saturday, coming in also at 6-5. So, coming from me in this Big 12 rivalry showdown, boy, my Sooners looked pretty damn good against Oklahoma State. I did not expect them to put up 28 points in the first half. That was surprising to me. But coming from me, I'm happy to see my Sooners bowl eligible, and hopefully they will give me a birthday victory here. So coming from me, I am going to go with Dylan Gabriel, Brett Venables, and my Oklahoma Sooners to get it done on the road and defeat the Texas Tech Red Raiders in a shootout. Boomer Sooner. And our next matchup, it is a Big Ten West rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the Land of Lincoln Trophy between the Illinois Fighting Illini heading to Evanston, Illinois to face the Northwestern Wildcats. Now, this is the 116th meeting between Illinois and Northwestern. Illinois leads the old-time series 56-54-5. Now, the Illini won last year's meeting over the Wildcats, and the Wildcats are looking to finally defeat the Illini for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming off very bad losses in Week 12 of the Big Ten Conference. Illinois is coming off their heartbreaking loss to undefeated Michigan on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Northwestern's coming off another loss on Saturday, losing to Purdue, coming in at a rough 1-10. So, coming from me in this Big Ten West rivalry showdown for possession of the Land of Lincoln Trophy, I am going to go with my good friend Gamers Goon and his Fighting Illini of Illinois with Tommy DeVito, a.k.a. Tommy D, baby, to rebound and bounce back on the road and defeat the Northwestern Wildcats. Fight, Illini, fight! And now next matchup, it is an SEC West rivalry showdown between the SEC West Division champions, the LSU Tigers, heading to College Station in Texas to face the Texas A&M Aggies. Now this is the 61st meeting between LSU and Texas A&M. LSU leads the all-time series 35-22-3. Now, the Tigers won last year's meeting over the Aggies, and the Aggies are looking to defeat the Tigers for the first time in 2 years. Now, LSU is coming out their victory over UAB on Saturday. They're coming in at 9-2, and we do already know next week LSU will be facing the #1 team in the nation, the SEC East Division champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, in the SEC Championship game. So LSU is looking to get this regular season done with and looking to win an SEC championship, but it ain't going to be easy. There's the idea of the Texas A&M Aggies coming off their victory over UMass on Saturday. They're coming in at 4-7, and for me, this has got to be Jimbo Fisher's last game coaching the Texas A&M Aggies, because Jimbo Fisher talked a hell of a lot of smack this season, and Texas A&M really let him down with a 4-7 record. So coming from me in this SEC West rivalry showdown, you got to give it up to Brian Kelly. His first year in LSU, he beat Alabama, and he's gotten LSU to the SEC Championship game. In his first year there, that is pretty damn impressive. So coming from me, I'm going to go with Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers to get it done on the road before their huge SEC Championship game next week against Georgia and defeat the Texas A&M Aggies. Go Tigers! And our next matchup, it is known as the Palmetto Bowl between the South Carolina Gamecocks heading to Death Valley in Columbia, South Carolina to face the ACC Atlantic champions, the Clemson Tigers. Now this is the 119th meeting between South Carolina and Clemson. Clemson leads the all-time series 72-42-4. Now the Tigers have won the last 7 meetings over the Gamecocks dating all the way back to 2014, and the Gamecocks are finally looking to defeat the Tigers for the first time since 2013. Now both teams are coming out very good. Week 12, South Carolina is coming off their blowout victory over Tennessee on Saturday, coming in at 7-4, and Clemson's coming off their victory over Miami on Saturday, coming in at 10-1. So coming from me in this year's Palmetto Bowl, this one should be good. We already know Clemson is going to be playing in the ACC Championship game next week against North Carolina, so Clemson better not look ahead, but this one's going to be good. You got Spencer Rattler, a former Oklahoma Sooner quarterback for South Carolina, versus DJ Unuglaway for Clemson. So this one's going to be good, but coming from me, I'm going to go with Dabo and DJ and the Clemson Tigers to get it done here at home en route to their ACC Championship game next week and defeat the South Carolina Gamecocks in a quarterback shootout. And now next matchup, it is a huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown, and it's the battle for the Apple Cup between the Washington Huskies heading to Pullman, Washington to face the Washington State Cougars. Now this is the 114th meeting between Washington and Washington State. Washington leads the all-time series 74-33-6. Now the Cougars won last year's meeting over the Huskies, and the Huskies are looking to finally defeat the Cougars for the first time since 2019. Now both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Pac-12 Conference. Washington's coming out their victory over Colorado on Saturday, coming in at 9-2, and Washington State's coming out their victory over Arizona on Saturday, coming in at 7-4. So coming from me in this Pac-12 rivalry showdown to see who will have possession of the Apple Cup this year, I am going to go with Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies to get it done on the road and defeat the Washington State Cougars in a banger. And our next matchup, it is the battle for the Jewel Shillelagh between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish heading to the LA Coliseum to face the USC Trojans. Now this is the 93rd meeting between Notre Dame and USC. Notre Dame leads the all-time series 48-36-5. Now, the Irish have won the last 4 meetings over the Trojans, dating all the way back to 2017, and the Trojans are looking to finally defeat the Irish for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very good. Week 12, Notre Dame's coming out their victory over Boston College on Saturday, coming in at 8-3, and USC is coming out their big victory over UCLA on Saturday night, coming in at 10-1, and we do know USC will be in the Pac-12 championship game. So, coming from me in this matchup for the battle for the Jewel Shillelagh, this one's going to be good, but we already know USC will be facing Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game this year, and my pick to win the Pac-12 championship is going to be USC because that was my pick from week 1. So coming from me, I am going to go with my boy Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley, and the USC Trojans to get it done here at home en route to their Pac-12 championship game next week against Oregon and defeat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in a close banger. Victory. And our next matchup, it is a huge Pac-12 rivalry showdown, and this rivalry is just known as Civil War for possession of the Platypus Trophy between the Oregon Ducks heading to Corvallis, Oregon to face the Oregon State Beavers. Now, this is the 126th meeting between Oregon and Oregon State. Oregon leads the old-time series 67, 48, and 10. Now, the Ducks won last year's meeting over the Beavers, and the Beavers are looking to finally defeat the Ducks for the first time in 2 years. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12s in the Pac-12 Conference. Oregon's coming off their big victory on Saturday night over Utah, punching their ticket to the Pac-12 championship game next week against USC, coming in at 9-2. And Oregon State's coming off their victory over Arizona State on Saturday, coming in at a very good 8-3. So, coming from me in this huge Civil War showdown in the Pac-12 between these two eternal rivals for possession of the Platypus Trophy, this one's going to be good. But coming from me, I am going to go with my good friend Gamer's Goon, Bo Nix, because Bo knows, and the Oregon Ducks to get it done on the road en route to their Pac-12 championship game next week against the USC Trojans and defeat the Oregon State Beavers. Quack, quack. And our next matchup, it is a rivalry known as clean old-fashioned hate between the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets heading to Athens to face the #1 team in the nation and the reigning and defending national champions, the #1 team in the college football playoff, the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs. Now, this is the 116th meeting between Georgia Tech and Georgia. Georgia leads the old-time series 69, 41, and 5. Now, the Bulldogs have won the last 4 meetings over the Yellow Jackets, dating all the way back to 2017. And the Yellow Jackets are looking to pull off the huge upset and knock off the Bulldogs for the first time since 2016. Now, both teams are coming out very good Week 12. Georgia Tech is coming off their huge upset victory over North Carolina on Saturday. They're coming in at 5-6 with a victory away from bowl eligibility. And Georgia's coming off their victory over Kentucky on Saturday, coming in undefeated at 11-0 and the #1 team in the college football playoff. So coming from me in clean old-fashioned hate between these two Georgia squads, we do already know next week Georgia LSU for the SEC championship. So Georgia better not look ahead to that game and Georgia better not look ahead to that game and get it done here and now. So coming from me, I'm going to go with Stetson Bennett and the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs, the #1 team in the nation and the #1 team in the college football playoff, to get it done at home and defeat the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Go Dogs! Sick 'em! And now the final 2 rivalry matchups in Week 13, starting off with a massive SEC West rivalry showdown, and folks, it is known as the Iron Bowl between the Auburn Tigers heading to Tuscaloosa to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this is the 87th meeting between Auburn and Alabama. Alabama leads the old-time series 48, 37, and 1. Now, the Crimson Tide have won the last 2 meetings over the Tigers back in 2020 and last year, and the Tigers are looking to defeat the Crimson Tide for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming off big victories in Week 12 against cupcake opponents. Auburn's coming off their victory over Western Kentucky on Saturday, coming in at 5-6, a victory away from bowl eligibility, and Alabama's coming off their blowout victory over Austin Peay on Saturday, coming in at 9-2. So, coming from me in this SEC West rivalry showdown in the next installment of the Iron Bowl, I am going to go with Bryce Young, Nick Saban, and the Alabama Crimson Tide to get it done at home and defeat the Auburn Tigers. Roll Tide! And now the final rivalry matchup in Week 13. It is a massive and colossal Big Ten East rivalry showdown, and this rivalry is just known as The Game, with the winner going to the Big Ten championship game next week between the undefeated Michigan Wolverines heading to Columbus, Ohio to face the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, this is the 118th meeting between Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan leads the old-time series 59, 51, and 6. Now, Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines won last year's meeting over the Buckeyes, giving Jim Harbaugh his first win over Ohio State in his long tenure in Michigan, and the Buckeyes are looking to defeat the Wolverines for the first time since 2019. Now, both teams are coming off big victories in Week 12 in the Big Ten. Michigan's coming off barely defeating the Fighting Illini of Illinois on Saturday with a last-second field goal. They're coming in at 11-0, and Ohio State's coming off their blowout victory over Maryland on Saturday, also coming in at 11-0. So coming from me in this colossal and massive Big Ten East rivalry showdown in the next installment of The Game to see who will represent the Big Ten East in this year's Big Ten Championship game next week. This one's going to be good. You got J.J. McCartney versus C.J. Stroud, my pick to win the Heisman this year. This one's going to be good, but coming from me, I am going to go with my pick to win the Heisman this year, C.J. Stroud and the undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes to get their revenge from last year and get it done here and advance to the Big Ten Championship game next week and defeat the Michigan Wolverines in an absolute banger. O-H-I-O. And those are my Week 13 college football predictions, Rivalry Week. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching this video today. Comment below. Who do you see winning all of these matchups on Rivalry Week of college football? Do you see any upsets happening going into the final week of the regular season next week with the college football playoff? Do you see any shakeups happening? Well, we're going to have a shakeup, especially with Michigan and Ohio State. So if I was thinking who's going to be in the top 4 this upcoming week, I think it's going to be Georgia. I think it's going to be USC, hopefully. I think it's going to be TCU, and I think it could be LSU if they can get it done in the SEC title game. But let me know who you guys think, and let me know what is your favorite college football rivalry in college football. For me, as an Oklahoma Sooner fan, it's definitely Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River rivalry. Bedlam with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. When it comes to Boise State, their rivalry with Fresno State is always great. But like one of my favorite rivalries is Michigan and Ohio State, the Iron Bowl, the Territorial Cup, the Apple Cup. There's so many rivalries I can think of. But let me know what your favorite is. And as always, represent your college football teams in the comment section. Even if they're having a rough year like South Florida and Colorado, or having an amazing year like TCU, Michigan, and Ohio State, represent them in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. Of course, I'm always on to see your comment, like it, and of course reply right back to me, because comments and your opinions are absolutely always welcome on this channel. Now, I do want to thank you guys so very much for watching my Week 13 college football predictions video today. Again, thank you guys so very much for all the support. Truly blessed to have you guys part of this bigger family, this dangerous alliance. Now, before you guys go, as always, you guys can never forget to do this. That like button, comment, share with your friends. Of course, super kick that like button like only you guys can. Of course, you guys can never forget to do this as well. That subscribe button to become part of this bigger and dangerous alliance. We are getting dangerously close to 1,100 subscribers on the channel, guys. So if you guys are not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you guys waiting for? If you're a fan of professional wrestling when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, the WWE, and Ring of Honor, and you're a fan of professional sports when it comes to the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, the NFL, college football, and next year the XFL, super kick that subscribe button, folks. It's free, and you become part of this bigger, dangerous alliance. And I will see you guys later tonight for my Week 12 NFL predictions. Later days, guys. Have a very happy Thanksgiving from the Dangerous Alliance. Stay safe, and as always, stay dangerous. And peace.